So, you've got the basics down. You found a way of identifying the two pixels at 200 meters as a German. Perhaps you could even hit him. At this point you've probably played a few times with the different classes. And maybe you've even acted as the squad leader when no one stepped up to win the war. From this point it's important to develop some game sense. Not just being a soldier that listens to the silence of his non-communicating squad leader. It's time to become proactive. Let's go over 20 tips for an intermediate player. Some of these tips will really improve your game sense and others are more simple but serve as a gentle reminder. All tips are randomly selected involving different classes in order to give you a little taste of how everything comes together. The first tip is, when your squad is in enemy territory, initiate the support trick. In enemy territory, the situation might pop up that your squad needs to place a garrison. Ordering a supply drop from the commander is quickly done, but exposes your plans because of the parachute coming down. A garrison in enemy territory needs 100 supplies, so your support's 50 are insufficient. After he drops his supply though, he can go kill himself and another squad mate can spawn on your OP with a second batch of 50 supplies. This way you can drop a parachute in the red zone without giving your position away with a parachute, so definitely use this. As squad leader, ask in command chat if there's someone with a mic on arty. This means you can designate targets. While players are engaged in the game, everything goes on autopilot. This of course goes up for all the blueberries on their way in a straight line to the enemy point. But most players are just focused on their squad and zone out of command chat. However, often there's a sneaky silent artillery player ruining the other team's day, and you could actually ask them if they're listening. When you run into an enemy squad when you try to set up a flank or when you see their garry downrange, a call for certain death and destruction is only the button away. Pay attention to the sector you're in. One easy way to polish your usefulness on the battlefield is by being mindful to the sector you're in. Looking at your own strong point as well as the enemies in a warfare mode, you can cap and defend it from the 4 sectors around it. These are the active sectors. While being outside these, you are not contributing to the objectives. Often there's people just outside these active zones at moments that truly matter. Keep an eye out on the map where you and your squad mates are located and make sure you're on the right side of the line. As a support, when your squad leader doesn't need you, keep an eye out for blueberries around you. Of course you understand that your squad leader can use your supplies to build garrisons. And of course you have a mic and help him where needed. However, there are times he's not there or placing a garrison and is not his current target. Or there's no squad leader at all. In these situations, keep an eye out for blueberries that might need your supplies. These could be other squad leaders, engineers who want to place nodes, or perhaps AT that wants to build an AT cannon. As commander, drive around in a supply truck dropping garrisons where needed. Many new commanders feel like they should command the team, get frustrated as they get no response, and don't understand why other players don't build garries. It's better to take matters into your own hands, spawn yourself a supply truck and drive around the map to build backup garrisons and even red zone garrisons behind enemy lines. This saves you a lot of frustration and it also helps the team tremendously. As engineer, immediately start building nodes at the start of the match. A team with a strong economy has a big advantage if the other team doesn't have it. The commander needs resources in order to drop bombing runs, drop supplies, spawn tanks and all of the other good stuff. As an engineer, do your part and build your nodes right at the start of the match. The best thing to do is to ask your squad leader if the commander can spawn a supply truck for you, so you can build a lot of stuff at the same time. As support, when your squad is dealing with armor, switch to the loadout with explosive ammo so you can resupply your AT. Dropping supplies is not the only role that the support class has. It also has a loadout that includes both regular and explosive ammo. Since tanks take multiple rockets to destroy, stick close to your AT and give him explosive ammo when he runs out. Sticking close to resource nodes give you certain bonuses. There's actually a lot of players that don't know about this, not only new ones, but if you get close to your nodes, you can actually recharge the cooldown on certain abilities. The support class had the cooldown for its supplies reduced by 2.5 minutes if they're within 50 meters of a manpower node. If there's a role that has a small ammunition box or explosive ammo box or even medical supplies, then walking within 50 meters of an active munitions node will also reduce the cooldown by 2.5 minutes. As squad leader, work together with your armor. Friendly tanks are very vulnerable by themselves as there might always sneak an enemy AT behind them. When you see a tank, establish some communication with them, or not, and support their push. This way you also have massive firepower for your squad when you need it. Request a jeep for these wide nasty flanks. For some reason, I don't see jeeps used that much. It might have something to do with playing the game on autopilot again, and these vehicles are not standing there right at the start of the match. But this is just a gentle reminder to request them from the commander, as these things are fast and you can set up some nasty flanks with them. Assign the in-game map to a key closer to your left hand. The in-game map grants you loads of valuable information. You can check what direction friendlies are looking to guess enemy positions, you can check the active zones and status of the strong points. In other words, it's best to look at it as often as possible. The best way to do this is remapping the key instead of reaching all over the massive open planes of the keyboard. For example, try out Tab or G. As a support, keep an eye out for good garrison locations. When playing this class, you don't have to wait for orders. Look at the map proactively where garrisons are needed and drop your supplies there, so some nearby squad leaders can drop a quick garry when needed. Another good moment is when a point has just been captured. The quicker the garry, the quicker the defensive squads can catch up and reinforce the newly acquired objective. Don't be scared that defending is boring. Players generally want action as much as possible and the majority keeps running automatically to the enemy point. Defending generally gives you a lot more control to fight on your own terms. Keep the sectors around the point clear and keep an eye out for enemy supplies or airheads dropping from the sky. In most public matches, playing as a dedicated defense squad gives your team a way higher chance to win, as there's a good chance that the enemy team isn't defending at all. If you want a communicating squad, lock it and mark it as mic only. Fighting a communicating squad is always a challenge and also the largest factor in the enjoyment of a match. When you create a squad, you can lock it and mark it as mic only, and not only that, you can advertise that you are a communicating squad in the text chat, this way other people will know as well. Don't forget to use half-tracks. I don't see them often used in games, but they can be useful in certain situations, and also it's just more fun if there are more kinds of vehicles, so I just want more people to use them actually. Use the redeploy button without any mercy. Killing yourself isn't the most romantic way of traveling. In Hell Let Loose though, it's inevitable and a highly useful way of getting around the map. And remember, attacking the enemy point has no point if you will lose your own. So smash that the redeploy button when things go rough, as quick redeploys win games. If you have the time, plan your garrisons. Sometimes very hectic, enemies coming from everywhere, bullets flying from everywhere, and you don't really have time to plan your garrison and you drop it right into the point. But good garrisons greatly increase your chance of winning the game. If you place 3 of them around the point, you can actually see where the enemy is coming from, and it gives you information, and also if one is destroyed, you have 2 other ones left. Establish some communication with a relevant player. In order to use your class well, sometimes you need stuff from other players, most notably supplies, or explosive ammo. Often squads don't talk and no one wants to take the lead. As engineer, anti-tank or squad leader, mention needing these items immediately at the start of the match and talk about it until someone wants to work together. This way you don't have to get everyone talking, but you can at least execute your role and other people will latch on to the conversation eventually, as well in my experience. Also, don't be afraid to ask the squad leader for supplies if you need them. It's a quick call to the commander for him to spawn a supply truck or send a supply drop. If someone's camping upstairs in a building, wipe them out with a satchel. There's always that moment when there's one enemy hiding in the attic and killing multiple teammates, and it takes quite a while to get rid of him, wasting precious time that could be used better. Just satchel the entire place and call it out in proximity chat. Too bad if you blow up half your team, you're the one using a mic. Maybe they should have done that too. Remember that the time investment is often worth it. Most players think short term, but if you want to make truly good plays, you should invest some time. For example, when attacking the enemy point, oftentimes the team is attacking from 1 or 2 directions and getting hammered. Small flanks keep running into the same defensive line. When making a big move that can take quite a few minutes, you might open one more flank and hit hard as well as weakening the other defenses. This wins games. And in case there are still people that don't know this, a bonus tip, you can actually reset your voice communication in the in-game audio settings when you get the communication bug, so you can start speaking again. It's not advertised at many places I think, but you can actually do this and it's important that everyone knows. Anyway, hopefully you found these tips helpful. Do you have any other tips for intermediate players? Let them know in the comments. Subscribe for more videos and see you in the next one.